May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be always acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen. One time around 15 years ago, a friend of mine who was a reporter for the Post-Dispatch asked if she could interview me for a little vignette that she wrote for the paper. And the name of the column was called My Favorite Thing. It was short, just a few paragraphs, and it appeared in a question and answer format, along with a picture of the person being interviewed and holding the thing that was their favorite thing. So the little paragraph revolved around questions: do you have any items that is, or have any item that is of special significance to you? And if so, what is it and why is it special? The last question was, have you ever thought it was lost? I told her that above just about anything else, I valued my baptismal cross given to me by my Aunt Trudy and Uncle Bill, two of the most important and loved people in my life. My twin sister and I were baptized 3 months after we were born, and these small, matching, etched gold crosses on 18-inch chains were given to my sister and myself. When we were growing up, we always knew when it was a special occasion, because my mother would break out the crosses and we would be allowed to wear them. When I went off to college, which was 1,000 miles away from home, and in the cornfields of Indiana, I took to wearing it every day. It hardly ever left my neck. It was a reminder of who I was, whom I belonged to, and of the people who loved me back home. Well, one Sunday afternoon, I went to the Y to work out, and for some reason, I took off my cross. I put it back on after I showered, and then I went to the grocery store and then home. When I got home, I went into the kitchen to say hello to David and the boys and to put the groceries away. As I bent down to give one of the boys a kiss, the chain came off my neck, and there was no cross. I remember feeling a wave of panic, and my stomach began to knot. I felt like I'd been kicked in the gut. All of a sudden, it was hard to breathe, and I could feel the tears begin to sting my eyes. Of all the things I never, ever wanted to lose, it was my cross. The chances of me finding it were slim. It was somewhere between O'Fallon and St. Peter's, somewhere between the YMCA and the aisles and parking lot of the grocery store and home. Even after all these years, when I think about this, I still get those feelings I had when I thought I lost it. Well, this morning, we have 3 parables of lost items: the parable of the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the lost son. Now, it is the preacher's prerogative to lengthen a reading, and I did so this morning. Your bulletins weren't wrong. I added the next 14 verses. So rather than stopping at verse 10, which is where it stops in your bulletin, we went through verse 24. I did this because, quite frankly, these parables go together, and I have no idea why the people who put the lectionary together didn't include them, but they didn't ask me. So, which one of you having 100 sheep and losing one of them does not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the one that was lost? Or what woman having 10 silver coins, if she loses one, does not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? Or what father or mother, having lost a child to stupid mistakes, willful and wrong-headed decisions, does not rest until they come back home? I don't have any sheep, and I don't have many coins, but I do have 3 sons, and the thought of losing any of them in any way makes me sick to my stomach with dread. Now, I could talk to you this morning about being lost, and I could talk to you about being found. But what I really want to talk to you about this morning is something that I believe is at the heart of all of these stories and at the heart of our discipleship and our life together. At least it should be, in my opinion. And that thing is joy. In the first parable, we are told the shepherd gathers his friends and he returns home and rejoices in finding his sheep. And in the second parable, we are told the woman calls together all her friends and rejoices that she has found her coin. And in the parable of the lost son, we are told the father rejoices on his return and a grand party is thrown, and they celebrated. What's more, the people in the stories don't just rejoice. We are told that all of heaven rejoices with them. In all of heaven, there is joy that what was lost was found and that what left home has returned. Now, there's another name for these three parables. It's not one that we hear often. They're not just known as the parable of the lost son, the lost sheep, and the lost coin. They're also called the three parables of joy. Joy. We were made for it. We were made to live in it. And we were made to share it with others. Now, I want to tell you about a friend of mine. Her name is Augustine. And Augustine is the most joyful and joy-filled person I have ever met. She incarnates it. She personifies joy so much that when I think of the word joy, I cannot help but think of Augustine. Now, Augustine has known hardship and very distressing times. She is a daughter of the segregated South and all that entailed. She lost her husband tragically at a young age in a car accident, and she was the one to find him. She has experienced an accident herself and is significantly and most likely permanently disabled as a result. And yet, through all those losses, she is joyful, amazingly so. Augustine has in her home a wall, and she calls it her joy wall. One of the first things a visitor notices in her home is a wall in the entryway with the word joy stenciled across it, and rows of pictures. Pictures of her beloved husband, pictures of her son and their trips together, pictures of her church family. She says that she cannot see this wall without being reminded of how good God is, how blessed she is, and how she is tasked with finding more joy in every day. She even has made up a word for it. She's made it a verb, joying. It is her responsibility to keep the joy, find the joy, and pass on the joy to everyone she sees every day, because so many in our world have lost it. And yet, we were made for it. We were made to live in it and to help those who have lost it. We were made to share it. Augustine would be the first to tell you that she doesn't have this joy by herself. The joy she lives in is a gift from God. It is shared and nurtured within her faith community, which has loved, mourned, and rejoiced with her in all her losses and pain, and in all of her hopes and dreams. Augustine's life is a celebration of God's love for her, and she radiates that love in amazing ways. I think God has a joy wall. Imagine meeting God face to face and God draping an arm around your shoulder and saying to you, "Let me show you something." And as you walk with God, you see coming into view a wall with the word joy stenciled across this vast expanse. On this wall, you notice pictures. Picture after picture of you doing something, saying something, sharing something, and these pictures stretch through eternity. God says to you, "Oh, I remember this time. how you made me laugh when you did that. And look at this one. I was so proud of you. I know that that was a very, very hard time for you. But see me over there peeking around the corner, photobombing you? See? I never left you. And here's a picture of the time you left. How I cried over that. But see, right next to it, that is the one picture of you when you came back. And what a party we threw to celebrate. The angels sure did have a good time at that one. Look at our wall, Trinity. Look at our joy wall. Those are pictures of you throughout the years, sharing life and love and faith and joy. I'm thinking about having joy stenciled across the top of those. That's our joy wall. There is joy in heaven and on earth when we realize who we are, whose we are, and who loves us best. There is joy in heaven and on earth when we take that realization and we live it out in our communities. And for our true homecoming, when we see God face to face, I cannot think of a better word to describe that day than joy. You were made for it. You were made to live in it. And you were made to share it. My cross? I found it lying flush against the wall by the turnstile in the YMCA. Was there rejoicing? You bet there was. Was there joy in finding it? Yes, the likes of which you've never seen. Amen.